It's Joe from Britical Saiyans here, and today I'm going to be dissecting my Mecha-Frieza deck for you. But to start with, I want to give a big thank you to Mark and Mew for this lovely playmat we now have to use in our videos. As you can see, I've got 3 different characters on here, and that's because they're my favourites, and 2 of them are potential decks in the future, hopefully. So let's begin. I'll zoom in. Oops, longer. Professional. Okay, so we've got the leader Frieza slash Mecha-Frieza, who has been errated, but with this deck it's all about the Frieza evolutions, and the only reason I use this leader is that I can forego paying full amounts for counters, which is pretty good, and it'll do me just fine. So it means even if I tap myself out during my turn, I've still got something I can use during the opponent's turn. But anyway, so there's loose, the errata skill now states for the front side, permanent. During your opponent's turn, when you activate an extra card, you may choose 1 card in your life out of your hand. If you do, reduce the energy cost of the extra card by 1 for the duration of the turn. If this reduces the energy cost of the extra card to 1 or less, you may activate it without paying a specified cost. And he awakens at 4 and draws you 2, and goes into Bionic Strike Mecha-Frieza. So on the front side, after you've done this effect, it just turns off. You can't do it again. But when he's awakened, so again, during your opponent's turn, when you activate an extra card, you may choose 1 card from life out of your hand. If you do, reduce the cost by 2, and then if it's reduced to 1 or less, you may activate it without paying a specified cost. But unlike the front side, you can keep doing that during your opponent's turn. And he has the standard auto of when you attack this card, draw a card. So I will now begin by going to the extra cards, which this deck uses quite a lot of, but that's because of the nature of the leader. So to start with, we have 4 copies of Cold Bloodlust. This is a staple in Frieza army decks, just because of how powerful it is. So counterplay. If your leader is Frieza army, the battle card played has its skills negated for the duration of the turn. You wouldn't usually target your own cards with this, but you can. It's great against your opponent if they're playing something big that can do you lots of damage. You can just come in with a Cold Bloodlust and nerf it for the turn, giving you some time to deal with it. So there's also 2 copies of Crusher Ball. Again, another counterplay that's a staple in yellow. Counterplay, when the battle card played is played in rest mode. So if they have something that can come at you with triple strike and you're on 2 or less life, you can Crush a Ball it, giving you a turn to get rid of it. The autos aren't negated, but it's still stopping something that could be pretty powerful and quite possibly win your opponent the game. So we have 3 copies of Frieza's Call. So Frieza's Call is an active main. Choose 1 Frieza army card with an energy cost of 2 or less from your deck, play it in rest mode, then shuffle the deck. There's a few targets with this card in this deck. One that I will go further into detail with when we get to the cards, but in general this is quite good because it just lets you search the deck for something small. You can play its effect, and later on in the game, when it's not so much of a requirement, you can just charge it / discard it for whatever reasons. So we have also 2 copies of Valorous Assistance, which is a counter attack. Negate the attack, then you may switch up from 1 of your battle cards to active mode. So this is here just to use as a negate, but also it allows me to bring something back into active that my opponent might be trying to kill. There's 2 copies of Whis' Coercion, because Whis' Coercion is a very good negate. and it doesn't specify blue, so counter attack. Negate the attack, then choose one of your energy and switch to active mode. So it works well on this. If you've tapped out, you can just use the Frieza skill to play it, bring back one of your energy, and there you go, you've got some energy you can use instead of your own life. And like I said, like we always say, Whis' coercion is quite a staple in the game, and if it gets rotated out, if for some reason they bring in the rotation system, we'll be upset. So, finishing off the extra cards, we have one copy of Mafuba, just a good card to use against big bads on the battle. So, counter battle card attack, negate the attack, place this card on the attacking card. At the end of your opponent's turn, place this card and only this one to drop. As long as this card is on top of the other card, it's just treated as a battle card, but its skills cannot be activated. It can still switch back into active mode, but it can't do anything for a turn. So, and finally, there's two copies of the Mecha-Frieza gun. So this is something I'd use more as I go into the Mecha-Frieza side of the leader, because it costs 4 energy, so he can reduce it by 2, making it 2 energy, which isn't so bad. Counter attack. If your leader is yellow, negate the attack afterwards. For the opponent's battle cards are unable to attack for the turn. So, quite a useful card in yellow. We're waiting for a cheaper negate, but this will do for the time being. And as always, like stopping multitudes of attacks is handy in any game. So, moving on to the battle cards now. We have 4 copies of Avenging Frieza. So this is what you'd primarily search out with Frieza's Call, because it's just a handy card. So auto, when you play this card, look at the top 3 cards from your deck, search, choose up to 1 Frieza's army with an energy cost of 2 or less and add it to your hand and shuffle the deck. So with Frieza's Call, you can play them out on rest, it's the same energy cost, so you get 2 cards from 1 energy, and then this can let you search for something small, might be another Avenging Frieza, or your super combo, so those are always like 2 costs at the moment, so that's always a good advantage to have. And there's 3 copies of Ginyu Force Goldo. So Goldo has blocker. He's not a very strong blocker though, he's only got 2k power. But also, when you play this card, if your lead card is Frieza's army, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less and switch it to rest mode. So this can be handy early game, say they play something that lets them search top 7 for a card, and you know it's like an evolution target, you can just throw Goldo at it, put it in rest mode, and it gives you a chance to KO it. Going into the 2 drops, we have 2 copies of Apul. Apul is mostly in there as a like combo card slash energy throwaway. Nothing really exciting. I can search him out with like Avenging Frieza and Frieza's army, or Frieza's Call, not Frieza's army, but he's mostly in there as just some fodder. And of course there is 4 copies of Dodoria, the Emperor's Attendant. So Dodoria is our super combo for the deck. When you combo with this card, if your leader is yellow and your life is 4 less, draw a card, add 10,000 power to this card's combo for the duration of the turn. So, always helpful. So going into the 3 drops, we have 4 copies of Destructive Occupation Frieza. So like I said, this deck is going to revolve around the Frieza evolutions, and this is quite a strong one to bring out for them to evolve onto. So at the end of the battle, after you combo with this card from hand, if your leader is yellow, play this card in rest mode. So these are combo call for the deck as well, which is always handy. It gives you an extra battle card, and you can use it as a defensive or offensive combo. We also have 3 copies of Ginyu Force Jace. So again, Jace is a blocker, much like Goldo. He has the ability of when you play his cards from hand, look at the top 3 cards from your deck, choose up to 1 Ginyu Force other than Ginyu among them, and play it, then shuffle the deck. So you can use this to search out Goldo. You can search out himself as well, technically. So you can just play one and you've got 2 blockers in 1 turn. If not, and you've just been like getting some really bad draws, it lets you shuffle the deck, which can be handy. And finally in the 3 drops we have 3 copies of Zarbon, the Emperor's Attendant. So Zarbon is most useful during your opponent's turn, and that's why I quite like using him. So during your opponent's turn, when you combo with his card, choose up to one of your battle cards, switch to active mode. So if they're attacking your leader, you can still use this to save one of your battle cards. Again, if they're targeting the battle card, you can switch back to active, put a bit of combo in, and there you go, it's safe. So going into the 4 drops now, which there are a few, we have a singular copy of Clan of Terror Mecha-Frieza. So both these 2 are promotional cards in the same draft box, and I managed to get both, which is quite lucky. So Clan of Terror is 4 drop, from 2 being yellow, has 20k power and double strike, and you also, when you play this card, your opponent reveals their hand, chooses 1 battle card, among it, your opponent plays that card in their battle area in rest mode. So it lets you see your opponent's hand, which is useful because it lets you plan out your turn properly. But if you see something in there that works well from the hand, so say they've got like our Destructive Occupation Frieza or a super combo, you can like call that out, get rid of their benefit from it, and target it down, which can always help out, and it means that they've got less options. We have 2 copies of Frieza Hellish Terror. So he evolves for 3 on the Frieza. He has double strike, and he also, when the card evolves into this, choose off your opponent's blockers and switch them to rest mode. So this can be good like early game if your opponent's mostly relying on blockers and their negates. You can switch them to rest and start targeting them down, and it gives us an evolution target. Later on in the game he can just come out as a double strike for pressure, or you can just charge him / combo him. So bit of a multi-tool for the deck. So we have 2 copies of Mecha-Frieza the Returning Terror. So this Mecha-Frieza has dual attack, and you also, when you play this card, you may place 1 card from your hand to the drop. If you do so, choose up to 2 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards and KO those cards. Then this card gains double strike for the duration. So you don't necessarily have to get rid of 2 or 1, it says choose up to. The discard you kind of need to do if you want the double strike though, because having a dual attack means not only can you attack twice, but you're attacking twice with double strike, which is quite a lot to defend off, because the opponent has to think, can I take a double strike? Do I have to block both of these? Like they really need to think about what they're doing when it comes to this card. There's also 2 copies of Overpowering King Cold. So King Cold is a 4 drop, all 4 being yellow, and he has a permanent skill of reducing the energy cost of all Frieza clan whose original energy is 5 or more by 2. So this just makes it easier to bring out our big guys. Simple as, the reason I run him is that I know that the large stuff is going to cost more than 5 energy, so I want to make it easier on myself and quicker if I can. And finally in the 4 drops we have 2 copies of Shisami, the Loyal Warrior. So Shisami has double strike, and you also, when you play this card, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards. They can't be switched to active mode during your opponent's next charge phase. So this can be good if you've been playing something that's a heavy hitter and you know that they've got enough hand to defend this turn. You go, well, I'll play Shisami, lock it down into rest for the rest of your next turn, because that also gives me a chance to build up a way to defeat it and will undo your hand so you can't defend it as much. So we have a single copy of the 6-drop full power Frieza. This card is just really useful for yellow. It has blocker and triple strike. Triple strike being a nasty thing to deal with, and the blocker going quite well with his auto skill, because also when you activate this card's blocker, switch this card to battle active mode after the battle. So if you've defended it, your opponent might decide to throw some combo in to see if they can kill it, but if it sticks around, you block, he comes back, and then during your turn, if you really want and you feel like you can beat him in his turn, you can apply some triple strike pressure with him, or just keep him out as a, like, just keep him in active mode. Once your opponent's next turn, you got a 25k blocker, and as we all know, 25 is a difficult number to get around. And finally, we have a single copy of the 7-drop Golden Frieza, the Resurrected Terror. So this card is very useful and quite deadly. Unfortunately I only run one, but that's only for the time being. So he evolves onto Frieza for 6 energy. He has triple strike, much like our full power Frieza. And your skill, when a card evolves into this card, place all rest mode battle cards except for this card into the drop area. Then choose all active mode battle cards except for this card and switch them to rest. So if you play him out in active, everything goes into rest, everything that is in rest gets KO'd. So if your opponent's going for an all out swing, it's just like, oh perfect, Resurrected Terror, let's kill your board. Downside, your stuff goes into rest mode as well, but that's why you just try and go for the win. Even if you bring him out in rest mode, because the Frieza he evolves onto is in rest, it's like, okay, slight issue, but I don't KO myself using this, so it's fine. The only thing I've got to do is keep it alive so that next turn I can apply some triple strike pressure, or just let it go, and like, I just purely do it to cause some disruption. But there we go. So that is my Mecha-Frieza deck profile, and as always, thank you for watching.